Hello everyone, and you're welcome back. I'm excited today to share with you a part of what has been my life's journey, and thank you so much for allowing me into your space. This is The Widow's Might, a graceful journey. I'm Rita Weber ni Enajepo. So today I'm led to share the part I will call soon after turning point. The turning point was when if you're new to my channel, I'm a widow. I've been a widow for about 12 years plus. I'm sharing my life's journey to any person who has ever had to restart their life at any point, either intentionally or most likely it's going to be unintentionally. People don't restart their life with a plan. Sometimes you have a long haul, you plan, but today I'm sharing with you, and these are my life lessons, the moment after the turning point. Turning point was losing my husband after a 5 days illness, which they couldn't really diagnose also. And suddenly, a man who has never been hospitalized in his life, now he suddenly passes. That for me was life's turning point. So today I'm going to be sharing about soon after life's turning point. What did I do? So soon after it happened, I realized right from the hospital, if you watch the last video, the last clip, the hospital, there was already a showdown about, oh, you will tell us what happened to our brother, what you did to our brother. So now I'm from the part of Africa, Nigeria, and there's a lot. When you lose a spouse, most likely when the woman loses her husband, it becomes that she killed the husband. When it's the other way around, nobody tells the husband you killed your wife. Nobody does that. So, but yeah, so I was accused at the hospital openly. You will tell us what you did to our brother. And of course, that didn't go down well with my family because everybody was carried along all through those 5 days. So my family stood up and they said, no, we will tell you that you can't talk to our daughter, our sister, in that manner. Rita has been a support to your family. Rita literally raised two of her husband's younger brothers, literally raised them, at least university-wise. So, and that not Rita, is us. So, I don't see where they, so my brother stood up against them at the hospital. My pastor was not happy. How would you say that? Because we are like, we are family. We went to the same church at some point. It's in my in-laws and us. So, but, so what happens is, after that, we all parted our ways. I'm going to be taking snippets out of my book, The Widow's Might. So I'm not able to tell all the full story, but I'm just going in there to pick out learning points, things that I learned from today. When it happened that time, I didn't know I was learning anything, but the things that the pathways that I took, decisions that I had to make, yeah. So once it happened, we all dispersed, went home. My life had started. The church had broken the news to my young children. I had an 8, 11, and 13. And so that was the journey for us. Now, burial, because he was just 49, burial was supposed to be as soon as possible. My children they were just on midterm break. They were already like over a week away from school because they stayed over 2 weeks because this happened while they were on break. So we had to start the process for burial immediately. Now, there was back and forth about where he's going to be buried. Now, he's 49. We are based in Lagos. He's from Igbanke in Edo State. And so we now waiting to hear news. Well, everybody was at the hospital when it happened. His family, my church. So I didn't think anyone needed the formal, information. So the next thing I knew, I said people were sending text messages to me, anonymous text messages saying, bring back our children, drop our children in Festac town. So I was like, who is this? No one's going to respond. Those kind of messages. So now, the first day after the body was deposited, we left. The next day I called his friend. Now, one of the main lesson point of this information session is have an ally. I think I'm going to tag this clip, having an ally. Now, it's not just about being a widow. Having an ally means the people you called, like King David's strong men, or your league of friends. Now, the league of friends is going to be from who do you go to in those get help? So for me, I already had a relationship, a friendly relationship with his best friend. Then I had my family, which I knew I could depend on. But on his side, I thought I had his younger brothers. But with time, I've come to understand one of them is not my ally. He's never been my ally. He was just using me to get to where he's going to in his life. So I've already discounted that one. But there was one that I literally raised by myself. That's his youngest brother. But the moment it happened at the hospital, he didn't come home with me. He didn't come to visit. So the first day, second day, and nobody came to me. I believe I have wisdom as a gift, as a child of God. Yes, wisdom is one of my strong gifts. Decisions that I make, not just about being a widow, they are mostly wise. Now, I already had this friend who was with me when we all at the hospital. We had the first day, nobody came, and so we decided. I told him I need to go to the morgue, because now for me it was like my husband was admitted in the hospital. He wasn't coming to me as he was dead. So that first day he came to me. I'll go to the morgue. I'll tell him to bring his body out. I'll look at his body. I was not afraid. I wasn't. Trust me, I wasn't. And I'll tell him, oh, I need you to cut his nails. I need to trim his. That was what I was doing. So the third day, I went back again. I called him. He came. We went to the morgue again. So this time he's outside the premises. He's calling my pastor saying she's at the morgue again. She's been coming here every day. So the attendants were quite kind to me. They brought his body out. I will open it again. I will check him. I was like, okay, do you need to trim? I was just asking them to do things to him. Then on Thursday, after we left the morgue, I told my husband's friend to drive me to see one of the elders of his family. So I already was in good relationship with some of his family members. I really didn't have any enemies except, one or two immediate siblings. But so we drove up to this man's house in mile 2. And the moment he saw me, he said, oh my God, so it's true. So I was with Wilson. We went there and he told me something. I came to tell him. I said, this is what has happened. And then people have been sending me anonymous text messages telling me to bring this. He said, who? I said, I told him there was no name on those text messages. He said, okay. You know what he told me? He said, Rita, that you respected me enough to come and bring this news to me. He said, no one has told him Emeke has passed. That's my husband's middle name. That I'm the eldest in Lagos. So it's their duty to come and meet. He said, nobody, he's been hearing rumors, but nobody has come officially to tell him that my husband has passed. So he said, for me honoring him today, he was going to be by me in the future if the need arises. So I was like, thank you. We didn't spend more than maybe 20-30 minutes in the house. So from there, I went back home. Now, put this on one side. Like I said, this video is going to be talking about having allies, even if it's two on one side or the other. So this passed. Now on Friday, a set of people came to the house. They said they're his family. I identified some of the faces. I've seen them through the years. We're married for over 16 years. So yeah, I already knew them. And most of us were in Lagos. And so they came in and they said they were thinking of burying him in Lagos. They haven't got the full confirmation, but that's the intention. That what they told me what happened. I told them what happened, the journey and all that. They were men. There was no woman among them. And then they said they will that it was going to be in Lagos, so we should make arrangement. Now they're telling me that, but they're not giving me anybody to say this is who you're going to be working with. It happened. My brother, his friend, and my pastor, they teamed up and they started walking around making burial arrangements, because now on that Friday, the week he passed, we already had to go ahead to do bury him in Lagos since he was young. And that was it. So we went on. So by Sunday, another set of like 14 people came to my house, or maybe 11 or 14 people, and they told us, that the body has to be taken home. I said, okay. So now my mom, my elder sister, and I were with them, and then maybe one or two of my siblings were around. So, but the truth is, between that day he passed and that Sunday when they came, I'd had dreams of where I'd seen my husband, like 3 dreams. One of the dreams I saw him, this was almost, in fact, I woke up with somebody touching my lips. So in that dream, I was complaining. I said, see what your family is doing to me. I was, complaining. He was just sitting down. You know what he said? He said, shh. I just said, keep quiet. Then I looked at him. You asked him to keep quiet. So when I woke up from that dream, somebody's hand, I felt a hand in my mouth, like holding my lips together. I woke up, I was scared. I was like, wow, that looked real. That's one dream. Another dream, he was just, everybody was around. He was just, he sat, my husband is a very, very gentle person, by the way. He just sat like this and was watching. So I was like eyeing him. Are you seeing? Are you seeing? Are you seeing? Like trying to, tell him, are you seeing what's going on? He just sat put. Then one dream, that dream was remarkable. That was Saturday morning. In that dream, I was taking my husband around the whole city of Lagos. So we're looking for where the morgue, I was going to morgue. I was the one carrying the body in my car. And at each morgue I went to, they'll say, oh, there's no space. They are fully, occupied. So I was looking for where to bury my husband in that dream. And that was not a good sign. But by the way, I had seen, so it's like God telling me. So like I mentioned before, I'm a born-again Christian. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, my spirituality. So I'm a Christian, but born again, rebirth, meaning I understand the triumph God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I speak in the language of the Spirit, and I also pray in the language of the Spirit. So I am in the Spirit most of the time. Now, with widowhood, you have to hold on to something. So like I mentioned, from the first day I started this channel, that I held on to God, who is the husband to the widow and the father of the fatherless. So that is who I've held on to, especially after widowhood. So it's not new that I was still seeing. I have a gift of dreams naturally as a Christian, but now the dreams were coming very often, and they were showing me things that I was going to see the next day or sometime within the week. So between the Friday when the in-laws came, the first set of in-laws, and then on Sunday when the other set of in-laws came, the first day was like 6 people, the other time was like 10 people. So when they were saying this thing that they have to take the body home, so at that point, I just prayed the prayer in my heart. I say, Holy Spirit, these guys are going to ask me questions. Grant me unction. Let me speak the right words. Because at that time, I'd had text messages of all types, people doing things. Nobody had come to see me from my in-laws. So the moment came, they said, our wife, what do you want? Now, for people who say they would take him to village, suddenly they had like an argument. I was right there. Somebody said, oh, he has young children. They said the children don't have to go for burial. And they said, oh, why should he be buried in? So they didn't even agree before coming. So the next thing, when they saw that they were divided amongst themselves, they asked me, our wife, what do you want? My sister, Hope, was by she just pressed my hand and said, Rita, you have to speak wisely. She said it to me. And my mom was on the bottom, both sides. So I said, first of all, my children have been around since this journey started for my husband. They've not been back to school. They are in a boarding house that is in another state. And so the school I already called the school, told them what happened. They said, look, whatever I'm doing, they should finish so that the children can come back to school, that there will be no exit, for them going back for funeral of their dad. Because they found out that it traumatizes children when they return back to school. So now that they are privileged to be there when their dad passed, madam, whatever you're doing, round it up. Even if you want them to be away for school for more than this 2-3 weeks they've been away, we will accommodate them when they come. We'll give them special classes to fall back in class, but we wouldn't give exit for them to return to do another funeral. So I told them this is what the situation is with them. So whatever we're doing, because already your people came last Friday, they told us you'll be buried in Lagos. So my brother, the church, and one of his friends is already going around looking for the cemetery, best place to lay him to rest. And so that's my problem here now. So whatever we're doing, we're going to village, we are burying him in Lagos. We need to do it within the next 1 week so that my children don't miss school for more than a month. That was what I said. I was shocked that I said those words. I now asked them, by the way, who are you people? Because the other people came. They said, oh, they are from his mother's family. I was like, so they said, okay, our wife will send message to you tomorrow, Monday. I said, okay. And that was it, they left. So on Monday, my brother-in-law, the bigger one, he's back with news of where to bury his elder brother, my husband, and the father of my children. And so he told us, oh, that they've agreed for Lagos. I said, oh, that's good. So now for Lagos, he said he will be like the go-between. Fine. So I told him, okay, you know Dafe, that's my brother, I know the house. You know Winston stays very close to them in First Stack, and then our pastor, you know. So these are the people that are already working, so you could join them. So I told them, my team of people preparing, my pastor, my brother, and his friend, saying Theophilus will join you in the journey of getting a burial place. Yeah, so that was it. Now, I'm thinking that this session might not be enough, but I would try and fast track everything I'm going to say. So we started the process for burial. From that moment on, I didn't hear anything from anybody. His biography, luckily when you meet a man, so these are also tips for those who are going to be spinsters and bachelors. When you meet your husband to be, you've decided this is the person. I knew a lot about my husband. Where he was born in Zaria, his life as a child, his school. So for me, I didn't have a problem writing his biography. And so I was able to do that. I got pictures. I always say about pictures, NYC pictures, all those, younger days, plus all his journey from how we met, his spirituality, our children as they came. I had everything intact. So 1 or 2 questions I would text. I say, look, where was Mama born, his mom? I was making the comprehensive biography for my husband, and I did. Got pictures, and so we got the camera. So I did all that, and then my pastor said, look, no one has reached out to them. Can they go ahead that the church is ready to donate a casket? I said, look, anything. Then my brother said, look, him and Winston. So eventually they settled for Vault and Gardens to bury him at the Ikoyi cemetery. So the cemetery is the public and the private. So they have a common gate, but one side is the public garden, the public cemetery, the other side is the private cemetery. And so that's what we decided. Then I got a call from their sister, said, oh, Rita, are you going to print bills, posters? I said, I'm not printing anything, Sister Blessing. This is happening suddenly. Bennett was young. There's nothing to print. What are you going to put on there? Put 49. I'm not printing anything. So, yeah. So I didn't print. The only thing I printed was that, remember, the book, and then got the cameraman to. Yeah, so that was it. And then another thing that was remarkable happened was now everything was set. I still didn't get nothing from nobody. Not a single dime like, okay, add this to your plans or a suggestion. So, but like I mentioned, people handled for me, my family and the church and his friend. And on the day of the burial, I had to call his younger brother, one that was close to me, to work with my own younger brother, to one of my second younger brother, to handle the morgue part. So the body has to be moved. The family wanted us to bring the body through First Stack before we go to Ikoyi. So when they called me and told me that, I said, I'm not sure. So I told them to talk to Winston. Winston is their friend. They all grew up together. It's my husband's friend, my late husband's friend. And so Winston told them, no, it's not going to be easy to carry him from the body from Yaba to First Stack, then to Ikoyi. That's going to be a lot. So he will suggest everybody come early to the cemetery and you can see the body. And then from there, but there'll be because he's not an elder. He can't be doing line estate, from one to one place. So yeah, that was what happened. So my brother was in charge of, and my younger brother, and one of my younger brothers, and his own last brother were in charge of moving the body, the motor house to meet us at Ikoyi, and time was fixed. He died on 23rd. By 1st of November, we were going to do his interment. So on the 31st, we had the church service, which was, I'll put that in another video, but it won't be able to. What happened there is something I need to share also, but I won't be able to add that on this video. But I would talk about the cemetery on this one. So the day of funeral, something hilarious happened. So 2 days before the funeral, I told my brother, when you get to the morgue, by that time I had stopped going to the morgue, by the way. I was told to stop, that I'll be traumatized after everything. So I told him, when you get him up, please buy me a pair of shoes, hand gloves, blah, blah, blah. And my brother said, okay. And then the day of when he came, when they brought the body, now I'd gone to, his friend drove me and my sister and my children in my own car. My mom and they all went with my cousins that came, went with their own vehicles. We got to the cemetery, we were waiting, because it was supposed to be like 9:30 or 10 to 10:45, very short. Until we got there early, we were waiting, and then I passed a group of people at the main entrance, and I identified my sister-in-law and some people. I was like, those are my in-laws. So Winston knows them. So we passed them. When we got to where we parked, waiting by the private cemetery gate, they sent my brother-in-law, the last one. And when they came, because of the way my husband's friend had seen their hostility to me, he was literally guiding me. So I was sitting in the car, and then when my husband's last brother, as he was coming to me, Winston interjected and said, what do you want to talk with Rita? He said, oh, he was told that I need to come and join them. So he told him, he said, I didn't know you guys had issues with Rita when Bennett was alive. But you see, going forward, anyone that wants to come to her will have to come through me. She's not living here. If they want to know more, they should come here and see her, or we'll meet inside. Now, so he told him, go and tell them that Rita is not coming to meet them there. So they didn't even know that he was going to be buried in the private cemetery. They thought it was the public. So that's why they were on that side. So he went back, and obviously they waited. So eventually they opened the gate for us to come in. So as we wanted to go in, they told us that it's going to be, they can only accommodate 30 people. You know, so 30 people means my family alone is like 35 or 40. I had people coming from my office. They're actually taking one of the staff buses, a coaster. They have people, friends and family coming from different parts. So I don't know how to take it. So I begged my pastor to tell the authorities, I know what, can they give us 100? Because my in-laws will kill me if I go in there without them. So now, when they saw us walking, they now realized we are going to the private cemetery gates, and all of them came. By then we had entered. So my pastor went and intervened, and they said, okay, they will open the gate for more people, and they will close the gate at a certain time, because they don't like people walking around the cemetery when the service is going on. And the service was going to be at the graveside. We didn't book a hall for any extras. And so that was how we opened the door for more people. We got to the cemetery. So one other thing that happened that day was we also then walking into the cemetery, like ready. My pastor was there, me and my kids, everybody were walking down, and suddenly somebody came to me and to us and said, where are people going to? So it was like, what kind of a question is that? So my pastor said, we are going to bury a brother. So they said, where's the body? We had left the body in the motor house outside. So for me, this is hilarious right now, but at that time, we all looked stupid. So they were like, okay, so where's the body? So we're like, oh yeah, we left him out there. So we now waited, and the motor house brought the people that, pushed the casket in. And then I told my children, that's your daddy's last journey. They were so young. My children were young. My daughter was 8. And I have photos. I'm sure you see photos on my website. I'll put photos in here. And yeah, I think there are photos. I'll add some photos where you see them, how we were the day it happened, when we were burying my late husband. And so, yeah, we went in to bury, and I was given some minutes to say a word or two. Now, another thing that happened there is, while in there, I didn't know anybody's face. All I knew was everywhere was cloudy. My mom was quite close to me. And while they asked me to speak some words, by the way, we sang his favorite songs at that funeral, at the graveside. So I was saying some things, and I broke. I was crying, or maybe. So there was a shoulder by my side. A man, I think was wearing white. So I leaned towards this person as per, it means you must be close to me for you to be right by my side at my husband's graveside. And you know what the person did? The person just edged me up, just shouldered me away, like, don't lean on me. And I was like, wow. So now they had to ask, for us to drop the roses. So we all had roses, those of us who were in front, dropped our roses, and they wanted who to put the first sand. And I had the sister say, oh, she now told her younger brother, I told my pastor he has a son. He said, okay, yeah. So he brought the last younger brother and my son, and they showed my son how to, shovel in the first sand. And he did. So my thoughts at that time is, even in my moment of grief, this is like the worst thing that can happen to anyone, burying your loved one. And even in that environment, people had attitude, people had this, this hostility towards the immediate family. My children were babies. My son was just 13. So when I saw those two scenarios where one person says the brother should put the first hand, I kind of, rolled up my sleeve. I said, this is going to be a tough journey. But I know one thing is that I knew I had a backup with God. So like I always say in the whole of this channel, have something that you fall back to when you are in those down moments. So that's something that you fall back to is what you go to. For me, as a child of God, as a Christian, it was God. I knew the race was not for the swift, but it's only him that gives, the grace for the journey. And so I saw those two, somebody pushing me off, another person saying, let her brother put the son. I'm like, I have a son. So those things. So, but after everything, of course, by the time I went back to work, I was told some of my colleagues who speak, but there were a lot of languages all over the place. And they said, IB, that's my name when I worked in the bank, IB before. He said, your in-laws don't like you. So whatever you're doing, protect yourself. Your in-laws don't like you. The things they were saying at the graveside, they were not nice. They can't even repeat them, but they were cursing at me and my household. And so for me, I'd seen all the signals. I'd seen in the hospital scenario where you're accused. Everybody was there. They knew the background of what happened. And then the hostile text messages, and no one is coming around you, tell her to come and sit with us. So my point now is the learning point. Like I always say, life is about learning. We don't stop learning. Know people who will stand by you when things happen. One of the people that stood by me was Wilson, my husband's friend, because we've kept relationship too when we got married. And that elder that I went to go and meet, I will tell you in my next video what that elder did when the die was cast, or when push came to shove. So yeah, so know who you can ally with, who you can go to, but above all, have something that covers you, that you can fall onto. I couldn't fall on any human being to cry. Even at the graveside, nobody gave me shoulder. But months later, I realized that person, when I saw the pictures, it was my husband's very good cousin who I've been very close to, I've even assisted him at some point. So yeah, so now learning point again, like I said, I depend on God. And in my journey, I can tell you confidently, in the last 12 plus years, that God has been the husband of the widow. I would like comments in this. I want this place to be an interactive channel where people learn. Like I always say, I'm trying to reach out to single moms, single dads, anybody, male, female, from any tribe or nation, any skin color, who may have had to restart life for one reason or the other. Not necessarily because you lost a loved one, but just because you had to restart your life and you have dependents. And so here is the widow's mite and the graceful journey. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video and your comments. Thank you. God bless. Bye.